This episode of Moist Meter was brought to you by Crunchyroll.
Initiating moisture.
Welcome to the Moist Meter. Today we're taking a look at The God of High School, another webtoon turned anime, just like Tower of God. However, unlike Tower of God, The God of High School doesn't rely on like a super deep story, at least for this season. It relies on some full throttle, nuts to butts, high octane action that's animated beautifully, but at the cost of like character depth and writing. So let's just go ahead and get to the best part of the anime, which is obviously its fights. Most of what you're seeing in this anime is fighting. When it's not fighting, it's like there's some dialogue that's being sped up with a fast forward button because it goes at an absolute breakneck pace. Everything in this anime seems to just want to get to fights as quickly as possible and then finish those fights as quickly as possible. It felt like I was watching a Tekken 7 speed run. It was just so fast. Like there's an episode where in the beginning a guy fucking spins out a car, proposes to one of the main girls, and then 30 seconds later they're getting married out of nowhere, and then a fight breaks out at the marriage. It's just so much shit happens in such a short amount of time. And a lot of the first episodes are tournament where it's 1 versus 1 in this showdown, and the fights will be over in like 20 seconds. You'll have like 4 fights per episode where there doesn't really seem to be any stakes or any like actual tension building up. They'll throw some beautiful choreography there for like 20 seconds and then it all ends in a single blow. And it's just left kind of a little unfulfilled, like a little kind of queef. And there is good moments where the fight does have a lot of tension and a lot going on, and it does have a satisfying conclusion, but there's so many fights that you never really get to take anything in, and they end so quickly. And there's just so much that goes on in these fights. There's just kicks flying all over the place, tits bouncing, more kicks flying, dicks getting broken in half. There's just a ton. And there's really not a whole lot of story elements that you get to take in and get the context of why this fight's even happening or what's going on. It just seems like it wants to move so fast that it neglects everything that's not a fight. But at least those fights look wonderful. The fights really do shine, because I mean that's really what all the effort was put into, clearly. And I think that's fine. I still really enjoyed The God of High School, but it's not like there's a whole lot of actual meat on these bones here. It's just a lot of really fun fights to watch and just kind of turn your brain off and mindlessly enjoy. And that's not to say that it's completely absent of a story. There's a lot of story elements, but the problem is, since it's moving so fast, it's throwing like 1,000 things at you at once. All of a sudden you're borrowing powers from the gods, and then all of a sudden the god is coming down, God himself is coming down with Excalibur to destroy the planet in like what is a fucking swan dive straight down, and you're just left wondering, well, how did we get here? Why is this happening? 2 episodes ago we were just watching some teenagers throwing jabs in a boxing ring. Why all of a sudden now is Galactus trying to eat the planet? It's just a ton going on all at once, and you just don't really understand why. All that you really get is a lot of fighting and a lot of questions with not very many answers. Maybe it sets itself up to answer those questions in a further season, but for here, it just becomes kind of a convoluted mess when it comes to its narrative. There's a ton of characters too. So many characters, but none of them, except for like maybe 2, have even the slightest bit of depth to them. Now, all this being said, it doesn't detract from my enjoyment of The God of High School. It is really unique in that it's able to capture such realistic motion of its characters. Every single move, when it comes to its martial arts, feels like real moves, like you're watching actual people doing martial arts against each other, except for a couple times when they're flying through the air, throwing like triple backflip super kicks and throwing their asshole in someone's face to finish them. But it feels like actual real martial arts captured in anime, and it's so fluid, and it's so brutal, like you can really feel the impact on a lot of the blows, and it's really, really unique in that aspect. Probably some of the best choreography I've seen recently from an action anime. It is absolutely a joy. The fights really are wonderful to watch, even if they do end in a single blow and aren't always a satisfying conclusion. Everything leading up to it is still an absolute blast. It's just really nice to look at. So, where I think what it wanted to do was just deliver these really unique fighting set pieces and great moments like that, and I think it absolutely succeeded and excelled. But if you're looking for a more complete package of like a story and characters with depth and, actual stakes and everything, you don't really get that in here. This right now, as this season stands, has mainly just been setting up a lot of questions and maybe answering them in the future, but giving you a really memorable ride with its top-notch animation and these incredible action scenes. So plugging the God of High School into the Moist Meter, I'm giving it an 80%. I really feel like just the biggest thing, the Achilles heel of the God of High School, was its pacing. It wanted to jam-pack so much, just fucking fully fist so much into 13 episodes that it just kind of made everything too quickly. It was just, everything was too fast. And the power scaling ramped up so quickly. It'd be one episode, it's just standard slap boxing, and then the next episode, the entire universe is at stake with some crazy kind of magic where they're summoning an asteroid to wipe out the Lord himself. Like, there's just so much that happens, and it happens so quickly, you never really get to stay in one little power zone. Take, for example, something like Gurren Lagann. You don't really ramp up the power that quickly. Yes, it goes from being underground to being fighting in the space, throwing galaxies at each other, but you spend a lot more time gradually building up to there. Here, you make that leap in a single episode. So it just moves a little too quickly for its own good, but man, it is a fun fucking ride just watching these incredible fights, and I'm excited to see more from it. I really do hope that it does have another season, and it maybe expands upon the narrative, and just give more fucking awesome fights, because there's really nothing else like the God of High School when it comes to its fights that I can think of off the top of my head. The animation is just absolutely superb. As I've mentioned in the past, I watch nearly all of my anime on Crunchyroll, and God of High School itself is a Crunchyroll original. It just has a huge catalog, so if you're a fan of anime or manga, it'll basically cover pretty much everything you can think of, and it's 2020, let's be honest, we're all fans of anime and manga, so Crunchyroll is just an extremely convenient, great service. And for those of you that really need to scratch that itch, there's Crunchyroll Premium, which gives you everything ad-free, unlimited anime and manga, everything in a nice, crisp, face-melting 1080p. New episodes hit the service an hour after they air in Japan, professionally subtitled. It's like an anime Christmas every day with Crunchyroll, so if you're interested in trying it out, you can go to crunchyroll.com/penguinz0 to get Crunchyroll ad-free for 14 days. That's crunchyroll.com/penguinz0. That's it. See ya.